Enemies run right into your slowing blades. Leverage heroes that can shield, like Medivh, Cassadar, or Zarya, to make aggressive plays. Try pairing up Zul'jin with Lieutenant Morales, and have her keep your health steady as you take full advantage of your Berserker trait to tear your enemies to shreds.
You want axe?
Zul'jin, Warlord of the Amani, is ready to enter the fight, whether you want his axe or not. Make sure to leave us a comment to let us know what you think, and you can always subscribe to Heroes of the Storm here on YouTube or around the web if you want to keep up to date. We'll see you in the Nexus.
Tied series 2-2 between Team Naventic and B-Step. Winner of the next game takes the series, and both of them, it is oh so important for them to get the wins. I would say even more for Team Naventic because they are very far down in the standings, but B-Step wants to get as far up in the standings as they can too before getting into part 2.
I know, and my initial thoughts into this, how I felt like B-Step would be the more confident team and more dominant one. The fact that we managed to make it to Game 5 suddenly has me maybe putting more faith into Naventic now that it's made it to the late game, that they will be the ones winning the series.
Well, it's again going to come down to Battlegrounds. Let's see where we're heading into game number 5. And it's going to be Dragonshire, which is a Naventic pick. That is the first time we've seen Naventic pick Dragonshire.
It is a map that the King Caffeine, iDream, and K1 Pro have all struggled with in the past. They absolutely despise certain maps and playstyles. Usually, if it isn't easy for them to, you know, like with the split pressure or anything kind of like that, if it involved that for a long period of time, those players really hated that playstyle. And it exists the same for like maps like Dragonshire, having that individual kind of constant rotations and making it, especially late game with globals, they were overly vocal about their frustration with that. So I think this is actually a little bit playing on that on the side of Naventic, with those players knowing in the past on other teams they've hated this map.
Especially with their focus on Falstad too, that they've been prioritizing him so highly.
Yeah.
Maybe another Ragnaros game for them as well if they want to get Ragnaros. But it's interesting to see history play out between these two teams. We look at the ex-members of Cloud9 versus the brothers of Naventic, and Cloud9 are still 2-1 throughout the 2016 round, the ex-members of them. So maybe this is Naventic's chance to tie that up.
It might be. It very much may be. And it's amazing to think that we're in a situation where I could say that, just with how heavy the downflow of Naventic has been. And it felt like the rise of B-Step was slowly going to begin once more, and that we're on even footing here. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what to attribute it to either. I don't look at Naventic as making changes when it comes to draft too much. A lot of their playstyle has been exactly the same, other than a role swap. But I don't think Zuna on the melee, you know, was that outstanding comparative to that of like Tomster.
There was a rule swap, but there's also a little bit of some adjustment in their favorite heroes. But in the instance for them of being able to get more globals throughout, seems to have worked out favorably for Naventic now, and being able to make sure that they don't get behind an experience.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Is yeah, the fall set priority might be, but even in that, you know, that last game, it was a very, I guess what I would consider an Naventic draft without too many crazy changes, and I don't know, it just was in their control most of the game. Zarya removed though. Now that we are on the Dragonshire, Naventic though, I believe we only have seen them on one game ever on Dragonshire, whereas B-Step, in fact, at least have 2.
Yeah, B-Step actually picked Dragonshire when they played versus Superstars. That was their, I believe, first battleground they chose in that series. So they were coming in, they had developed a strategy to try to take out Superstars, but Superstars beat them on that map. But otherwise, Team Naventic only playing on it when No Tomorrow took them there.
I think that false set ban was really good. I was going to suggest just banning it because I think B-Step picking up is very, very likely. All right. Unpopular Dread moment here. You know, Naventic should pick Dahaka in their first rotation the minute that false set ban's there. They risked a lot by saying, hey, B-Step, you're not going to pick Dahaka here. I think pretty hard. But in North America, it's just so unheard of to have a Dahaka first pick rotation that I think it was a comfortable risk for Naventic.
Do B-Step first pick Zeratul? No, not Varian.
So then in this transition, it just allows, I hope it's going to be With the Haka picked up, what else do they want? Maybe a support? They could move into the support if they're a bit fearful there. Or a Varian. Like, the Haka Varian would actually be terrifying for Naventic.
Does it risk not having enough wave clear for the 4-man rotation, though?
For the Varian, you move into kill potential, so then you just rely on Dahaka doing well on top and then move into kill potential in the floor.
They may even get Jaina.
Yeah, you could, which isn't a must, but it would work well, right?
Yeah, and it's something that they ran. That's
yeah.
what they played versus No Tomorrow is Jaina, and it was quite terrifying.
I just look at it as Dahaka has the global, also Accent is very good in the solo, but then if you transition to the 4, Varian seems to be one of the most successful into the 4-man of all the warriors in the game, and so I just feel it's a accurate amount of focus there into the front, and it also denies the option of B-Step just going Varian and to the Jaina. Taz made it through and is picked up though. Taz follow. Standard. That's about it. Taz follow Dream.
Yeah, they put more emphasis now on the rotation in the early game between mid and bot versus their solo laner, but there are still plenty of solo lane heroes up for grabs that Naventic can get after. We'll see if that remains true after these 2 picks as well as the bans, but for now that remains to be the case.
Man,
I think it's still going to be Zeratul here. They've played Zeratul both times. They've played B-Step have on Dragonshire.
Yeah, and B-Step when they pick it though.
Oh, I guess they banned it.
Yeah, they banned it in the first one, and the second one they were willing to pick it. But like, I don't look at the draft unless they pick Diablo right now. I don't see any reason of Naventic banning it, and I don't see them picking it.
They've been banning it versus them every time, though.
Have they?
Yeah, in this series, there have been a lot of Zeratul bans from Naventic against B-Step, but in the instance of wanting to take away some of the toys that Team Naventic show preference into, they're going to get Varian and Ragnaros.
Ragnaros there for the top lane. A lot of the heroes that we see heavy focus on the bans or whatnot here have kind of made it through. So, who do Naventic ban? Do they ban the Jaina? I think Jaina's the safest ban across the board.
What about Tronda?
I would be more afraid of a Jaina than I think a Tronda. Hammer is going to be removed. Interesting to see the Hammer. I like Hammer a lot. I think Hammer is a terrifying hero. But it does not fit any of the draft that B-Step has moved into yet with that Varian pickup. It just contributes nothing to a Hammer-style play into the laning phase, which is so important on Dragonshire. So I can appreciate it, but maybe it feels at least at first glance a little out of place.
B-Step pretty likely, I would think, to ban whatever solo laner they don't want to see from Ragnaros, but also it could be a support for Kenma, although Kenma has a lot more options with Tassadar.
Yeah, it's pretty much anything and everything is going to be viable in the support realm here so far.
Yeah, Dahaka.
They're going to ban out the Dahaka. No dinosaur meteor scenario, not today. He will live to see another day here. Now Naventic with the TAS. Well, I was going to suggest Ariel as an option, but into Varian, I think that's unlikely. And B-Step's one of the few teams that have shown, hey, if you Ariel, we'll try and do other things to be able to punish you. So probably not. But just TAS Ariel and Vala, that trio, the terror that can be.
Not having Cleanse is a terror in and of itself, though, versus Varian, Ragnaros, Malfurion. So if not that, then what? Naventic are forced into Rhaegar.
It feels like it's going to be, an ETC or Diablo, probably ETC for B-Kit. And then for a backliner, though, I see Li Ming being the choice, but I really don't enjoy it. Okay, so they're going to lock in a Brightwing and ETC. So they're saving their last pick to adjust. But it is 100% their top laner now. So they get to, sneaky snake in that solo lane. Probably going to be just a Thrall, is my guess. Makes the most sense there with the Haka banned out. If it's in Artanis, I might cry a little bit on the inside. I will be very sad.
Would you like Sonya in this case? Or you like
yes.
Thrall better?
No. Oh gosh, no. The reason I don't like Sonya is because the Brightwing pick. Because if that was a option to not take cleanse, I would like it. Sonya with Z Brightwing at 7 and then Task Shields is terrifying. And as long as it's successful in the 1v1, I like it a lot. But I don't think with Brightwing having to go cleanse, it provides enough. I don't think it's bad. Sonya's in a weird middle ground right now. But I think there are probably some better options. For now, B-Step though.
Jaina.
Yeah, that was, and Zul. Oh
Wow.
my. We just took a little notebook out of EU for a moment there. We're gonna bring it back into Zul land. Not only provides lockdown, but also insane wave clear into the 4-man. Now Naventic has to be sitting there going, all right, well, we can't recover the 4-man. How can we make up for the bottom or top lane? What can they do here to make the matchup real? If Artanis was a bad choice before, it's definitely a worse choice now. Into the Zul, because the wave clear. I'm so afraid that's going to be the pick. Is that bad? Is that bad that that's my biggest fear right now?
If they get a swap on a Jaina or Zul, these people who don't have a lot of escape other than the mobility that Ragnaros can give them or zoning roots.
What if it's Leo?
Leo! Thrall.
Well, they click it with the old school Thrall. All right. I think that's fine. What do you think about the drafts, though? If you were to give a winner, who wins this draft? Just curious.
I think B-Step.
I think by a large margin. I actually, that Zul rotation was the most sneaky little play that because nobody in North America has done it yet. And what it brings to the composition, what it does overall to be able to deal with the tools, I really like the Zul pick. I think it was really awesome. And the Jaina only makes it that much better because now they have wave clear and they can just kill anything.
They have great wave clear for the early phase as well as kill potential like you mentioned. And then you get into the late game, you have two ways of giving vulnerability. Or if you don't want to do that, then you have roots upon roots upon roots because Jaina can do the same.
2 setups for Sulfura Smash. Both are very easy. You bait one cleanse with a taunt combo, you hit Zul Bone Prism, there is no escaping. One of those targets is going to die. And that's the kind of stuff where that Zul pick makes it so terrifying. And he'll win the 4. Jaina hits it 1 root and suddenly the distance is close 2 for the prison. That's 2 seconds. Tassadar doesn't have enough shielding to be able to stop that. He will maybe onto 1 target, but definitely not 2. So this is a beautiful draft coming out from B-Step so far.
Lots of synergy available for B-Step. What is the hope for Team Naventic then that they're able to do?
Catch Zul is number 1. Zul oftentimes can get a little overconfident a lot of times and just overall as players on him. I think catching off Zul and then ganking top might be an option, but it shouldn't be that easy. Ragnaros, I guess, can get a little bit, overextending early game. So I think putting that focus there, but more than anything, it's not falling a level behind pre-10. If that happens, I don't know where they come back. But as long as they hold it out, wait till the 10, and then risk those fights, then I think they'll be at least better off.
Well, we are going into Dragonshire for game number 5 between these two teams. Let's see who takes the series. I think there's a lot of potential to catch iDream out, especially while he's stacking. Like, he'll play a little riskier, trying to make sure that he can get those stacks. Yeah.
No, I agree. Very early on, he should be vulnerable to that. So we'll see. What do we see at level 1? I'm guessing he'll go into Q for... Ooh, maybe not. I don't know. There's a lot of level 1 options I can see for Jaina, specifically K1 Pro. I think I almost might like the damage more than anything, just because they have so much crowd control elsewhere. Moving into the,
You want
or excuse me, deeper slow. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
I view that as more damage just overall because the slow.
It's true.
Sorry, just
deep chill. Yeah, it is what it is.
Slowly figuring out how Dread's brain works through this cast.
And that is what K1 Pro picked up at level 1.
Yeah, I think that's a better talent at 1 in this scenario because you take Q build whenever you need to put yourself in a position to be able to shotgun the front line. But if you don't have to shotgun the front line with Icy Veins and you have enough lockdown, then you go for the increased slow and suddenly you amplify Bone Prison positioning and you only make your kill potential go from insane to just ridiculous. I don't even know if that was forward or backwards, but that's accurately the transition it makes.
I will fully be keeping my eyes on K1 Pro. This player is statistically incredible for B-Step. They have not had the easiest time.
Yeah, it's insane.
But he still has one of the highest KDAs in HGC North America, and it's important to note that a lot of his competition are people who play Tassadar who are able to sort of beef up their numbers a little bit because you're not going to die. It's very hard for Tassadar to die, at least earlier on when they were Tassadar players. And there's the phase shift. He's going in to Thrall. Ragnaros in trouble. Yeah, he's on the wrong side of the wall of Naventic.
That was a good pick. That was exactly what they need in the early parts of this game. But yeah, K1 Pro, I mean, he's obviously often talked about as an amazing ranged assassin in North America. One of the best always. But yeah, being the stats that he has, he just almost doubles and triples the rest of his team, and he's the only member on that squad that really feels like, you know, he can contest the stats of some of the top 3 teams, which is unlikely. Because one thing we do have in Heroes is usually, you know, obviously the winning teams are only going to win harder, so the stats will be slightly inflated. But to be on a losing team and do as well as this guy has is just, I've never seen someone do it the way that he has managed to make it happen there. But Zuna's going to get stunned out there. He's going to be deleted.
Woo! That was some backlash damage from McIntyre coming in. Nice root counter to take out Thrall and be able to save Varian when he had to use parry pretty early on. Pixie Charm, choice for Kinma at level 1. What do you think of this? We've seen a lot of different Brightwing builds from Kinma.
I don't think I've ever said this in my life, but I actually like that level 1 on Brightwing in this comp. Purely based on the fact that they just don't have enough control on the map and pressure. It's going to be able to make up for it. Like, I personally have always felt all of Brightwing's level 1s have just been you know. The only one that really felt a specific direction until it got nerfed was going for the cooldown there, and that was only when, you know, even the level 7 was better. It's like an old version of Brightwing, but since then it's been kind of, you know, whatever fits your team best. And this is one of the few situations, just purely, again, because in the late game, the pressure that they need to match the wave clear that Zul's going to provide and the pressure he's going to provide is huge.
Even though not having a hyper shift means that he might be able to rotate up faster along with these more often to up in the top lane, I guess at least in this case, making sure that he does have that cooldown, and Zuna and Kenma keeping in coordination with knowing when phase shift is up, because that is a longer cooldown. It made longer when the changes to global heroes came in.
Yeah, the 55 seconds. Oh man, the good pickoff there. Oh, Ken not able to secure the kill. He's gonna be wishing he had that cooldown up there, but no, I don't know. It's a tough scenario. I would say in an optimal situation with the level 1, if you're Brightwing on this map, at best you're sitting with 2 targets for a long duration of time.
Okay.
I would say most optimal situation per tick, I mean, you put yourself in a position to where you cut 20, 25 seconds off. Yes, that could be enough to lose a kill here and there, but it's something you play around, whereas you can't play around the Zul pressure outside of just getting a kill onto him. And that is enough, you know, the reliability of, you know, being able to control that, I think is more, important than anything.
Especially because the change that allowed bribed mercenaries to be out more often.
Yeah, there's just cycle, you know, the pressure into the bottom lane is huge. BK, they're not going to hit the stun or the knockback there. That's going to be caffeine here into the first Dragon Knight of the game.
Starting to head up to the top lane.
Yeah,
maybe to help with this kill.
Actually, what this is doing, this is, oh, please pressure top. Yeah, okay, so this is really good, what they're doing right here. This is one of the only early game Dragon Knights, after this front wall, they'll probably back out, that I really like going top early game. And that's not only just purely because the drained and it's more likely to get the damage, but we've seen a lot of teams neglect top lane in Dragonshire. And depending on your matchup, it is worth pressuring the top lane. And it's mainly in your opponents having either a weaker wave clear or not having the, or having global that they're forced to match, which could be ETC, but more importantly, if Thrall remains top, he will get bodied by the raw pressure that Ragnaros is going to put out, and not having that front wall to constantly rely on, and breaking that fog of war leads to way more aggressive transitions out of the top lane, purely just off of one Dragon Knight early on. And it's a very rare, but another really cool, you know, innovation in decision making.
B-Step have catapulted ahead of their opponent's Team Naventic in experience. They've picked up their heroic abilities. Skeletal Mages is Zul's choice. Everything else standard across the board, even Ring of Frost. We'll see if this is a better situation to see Jaina's land some Ring of Frosts, even provided that you don't have the normal Void Prison as a start to that.
It's about the level gap that I did not want to see for Naventic to recover at this game. I think they still have a small window directly after 10. But outside of that, you know, outside of that situation, that small window, which obviously after that pick is only getting a little bit smaller. Again, just the comp that B-Step has created, it's almost the opposite of last game. It is so good at the map. It's just well-rounded overall. It's just like how even if you do everything to not lose the game and end up on even footing, the only thing it doesn't have to complement the map is a global. Every other part, it's got a lot of things done really well. So we'll see if they can recover, but this is it in the next couple of seconds. Other than that, I think they're looking for an absolute miracle, the same way we saw for B-Step for the back 20 minutes of the last game.
Well, Mosh Pit is one of those potentially miracle-giving heroic abilities, so we'll see if B-Kid can pull that off. There are a lot of spots, especially right around those giants, where he could move in and try to make that giant Mosh Pit a possibility.
One thing, I'm really glad we see the Mosh Pit. They could use Stage Dive as a way to stop the bleeding in the early parts of the game, just through, you know, kind of a split pressure there with ETC. But I think they do not win a team fight at any point in the game if they go that route. Oh, talking about team fight though, there's going to be the power slide. Sulfur Smash lands onto just one target. That is a lot of heroics used. Cleanse is going to be used there. Mosh Pit comes out. That's a 3-man. Ring is going to be dropped. It hits 3 members. The strafe comes out as well, but they turn this fight. K1 Pro with the miracle play, the taunt 2. My goodness, that is why we talk about K1 Pro on that Jaina, single-handedly giving his team the upper hand in recovering what looked like a lost fight. We're going to look at a replay, actually. We got it.
Yeah,
we're just going to watch it.
We should watch APM 2. It was a scary situation, and that's what we're talking about the Mosh Pit. There's a lot of possibilities around those giant camps.
Yeah, no, we're getting into it in a moment. Sorry, guys. We're putting it together here. But yeah, just that fight, just so good, being able to get the turn. But for now, 13 talent tier. This is going to be a DK, actually, for free, just purely off of that kill. I guess it's not so free when K1 Pro hits a ring like that, but it makes you sound cooler if you act like it took no level of difficulty.
No effort at all.
Free
King
low.
Caffeine starts to siege down another port. He's going to move into the mid with all of the skeletons that Zul has created for him. Drain some of the ammo.
All right, so mid 4 doesn't seem to be the focus for now. Bottom should be the heavy focus now. With that top down, it's going to, oh man, it cripples Naventic here in their mobility onto the map, especially not having the stage dive.
Split pressuring is nice too because McIntyre is free to just soak here in the mid. Naventic maybe looking for a fight while King Caffeine is inside of his dragon, but without 13, without Mosh Pit, trying to get all their heroic abilities back for that fight. And they have to be careful now because this is a fort that iDream could take over as Ragnaros.
Yeah, they're just going to be able to make it back for now. Nobody's going to make any crazy plays. Naventic is just, you know, panicking for this 13. The DK is going to move down. 3-fort split. Naventic lost the window. This just in. Triple fort play. This is very much the window is dead at this point in time, so it's going to be tough. They have to look for a desperate play. The best time on Dragonshire to look for that, you know, Inferno Shrines it's hard, but in Dragonshire, there's one situation where you can get that, you know, they never expect us to be here to fight. And there's 2 spots. One is to the top left of K1 Pro there in the middle shrub. The next one is just over directly after Dragon Knight. Everybody backs out for the camps.
Oh, taunt. Roots underneath. ETC in trouble. Going to power slide in. That is a 3-man Mosh Pit, but Ring of Frost at the back only hits 1. Jaina goes down. Biggie's in trouble. Kiting back as he can, but this might have been an overextension for B-Step.
Yeah, it very much was, and now Zuna is going to get rooted there, but he's fine for now. Cap throws out the Lion's Maw. But he's going to do all right there, reflecting a bit of damage. Somebody's going to be going down. The question is who here? iDream goes down the taunt, though, onto Zuna. The auto attacks, though, keep him up. And now it looks like Varian is going to live victim as well. So talking about leading a window, just one risky rotation. In fact, B-Step here is going to lose 4 members.
APM bought a lot of time, as much as he could. McIntyre's doing the same. Spectral Scythe takes a little damage. Biggie's chasing down.
Does he have his shield up yet? It might be off cooldown again. He probably used it at the beginning of that fight.
Okay, he gets back behind the gate just in time, which is good because that would have been a... They already have Malfurion as a staggered death. That would have been another one. That would be frustrating for B-Step. So nice escape at least for McIntyre, but B-Step, they did not have a talent tier advantage when they ran in there, right?
No, B-Step did not need that fight at all, right? So B-Step was surprisingly doing exactly what Naventic should have been. I was going to talk about everybody wants the Merc, so catch them off guard at a Merc, and B-Step was like, little do you know, we in fact are going to catch you at the Mercs, my friends.
You can catch us off guard by us catching you off guard.
That's what it felt like. But really, I think what's going to catch anybody off guard here is the fact that both these teams, after that fight, dead even. Structurally, B-Step, obviously quite a bit ahead. But a mosh pit was all it took for the tides to kind of change here into this game. We do see going with the increased root there, speccing into that 16 for Malfurion rather than going with the focus.
Northern Exposure and Icy Veins for Jaina, so full-on damage, but in this case, not getting amplified damage for Zul. Instead, he is going fully into the Spectral Scythe build, which lends us to think that he's probably going to be going into that with Mortal Wound later on. Here comes the taunt, charges in. iDream's the one in trouble. Zuno with a flank with his Earthquake. Still K1 Pro moving in, seeing if he can find the perfect Winger Frost. There it will drop.
Ends up hitting no one, but the response Blizzard, so much damage. Twilight Dream actually not really hitting anybody here for B-Step, and that's going to hurt their team fight potential. But K1 Pro, as always, the peels he is providing here for his team as they move up for one fight. Now can iDream make it out there? He's going to get polyed slowed. Somebody's going to be in range. Good route for the peel. Zuno though, Pharaoh Spirit, it connects. They get the kill. Very well done. Now K1 Pro is going to be the focus. Frost shots come into play. He'll make it out there with the heels of APM, and this is now a moment where Naventic has the opportunity to move into a keep. No Molten Core up. This is one of the few they're going to get.
Especially without Molten Core here. K1 Pro try to throw damage off from the side. McIntyre's there too.
Do you know how many times we've seen Zul in Europe that has gone Skeletal Mages versus Poison Nova? The exact amount? I know I've seen a little bit. I think I've seen a little bit of both.
There was one Poison Nova today.
Today,
even.
yeah. It's just, it's an interesting, argument and or I guess conversation you can have overall. What one's going to be worth where?
Yeah, I kind of thought Zul was going to move into Executioner.
I thought, yeah.
But in this case, trying to get Mortal Wound, having his Scythe build up a lot, how impactful is Mortal Wound versus the shield comp, though, of Team Naventic?
I don't feel like it's that necessarily impactful, obviously.
Oh, Mac.
I actually think he had the right idea for a moment, but the miscommunication on the side of B-Step was obviously clear. Zuna's gonna reach. Oh, Tonko's out.
Sulfurous Smash obliterates Thrall.
The counterplay here is gonna be real. Baited and outsmarted so far for B-Step. Jaina goes in once more. Tassadar drops the E. ETC transitioning now towards the bottom half of the map.
Ring of Frost is up. He's gonna drop it. Kenma goes into the middle. He is solo, and Twilight Dream ensures the destruction of Brightwing.
Yeah, it very much does. Well done. Tonko's down again. 2 for 3 so far into the trade. B-Step having the advantage, but big impact's very healthy. And consider the fact that top is captured here by Naventic. Positionally, they have a good job of, maybe controlling where B-Step moves. We'll see if K1 Pro can move in. We have 22 seconds on Sulfurous Smash.
Yeah, there's no global for B-Step, so the best they can do is send Zul top now that he's respawned.
On the same note of Zul, though, I brought up a little bit earlier, I was surprised to see mages, considering usually mages is like we need to be able to get a fight. But between Jaina, Sulfurous Smash, Zul, and Varian, it's not a can we take this fight. The next argument would be, well, it'll eat skill shots. But other than I can't, Vola Q?
Yeah.
I don't really see too many where I'm like, oh, that makes sense either. I don't know. I was just wondering if you had, the Masters plan. Sometimes I ask you about talents and you just pull out some wizardry numbers and stuff, so I just figured I'd give it a shot.
I think most of the Zuls have been Skeletal Mages.
I think that's definitely the, more standard if one was to be committed. But I just feel like in a comp where there is no doubt of the ability to initiate, I'm always going to be looking for that DPS. But B-Step here has done a good job after, you know, maybe what might be considered a moment of disaster in the mid-game, taking a risk they never needed to take, and Naventic perfectly capitalizing.
They took that same risk just a little bit ago, but in this instance, Team Naventic were not in the spot and really just wanting to get 20. Look what we have here, phase disruption. Oh, we'll have to wait on that.
Both shrines captured. Nobody can move in towards top. B-Step's going to start the channel. Delay one from Zuna, gets the teleport from his brother Kenma there on the right wing. Zuna look for the flank, but backed out. McIntyre going to start the channel. Sulfura Smash dodge there by Thompson. Great E. Good peel once again. There goes the power slide. This is going to be a tough spot. Cleanse comes out. Now he drops the mages. Nothing burnt on the side of Naventic outside of the Archon, which granted is a relatively big cooldown. Maybe approach that one a little bit more casually than I should have, but both still captured here by B-Step. They see Zuna moving bottom in a couple of seconds. I expect Cap to instantly go in when that happens. And no, they back out a little bit too far maybe to be able to tell. So very good job from Naventic to buy time, and they picked up 20.
Yeah, but B-Step have also, in holding both of the shrines, grabbed 20 themselves.
Oh,
so it is so close.
What 20 does Varian go? Ah, he goes for the healing. I was really hoping he went for taunt. Just there's so many auto attackers on the other side there, and you could get near instant reset.
Not getting mortal wound at all. Bone spear for Zul, heroic difficulty. So increased health and damage and reduced cooldown. Beacon power slid in. Really looks like that might have been a mosh situation.
Death metal. He death metal. The death metal instantly picked when the ring was used. Oh my goodness, the strafe getting so much value there after the ring. One person going down for both sides here. Zuna going in, trying to get a kill. iDream's buying time. K1 Pro, beautiful slow. Skeleton Mages over the wall. Tina goes in, he dies. The molten core is gonna be used. Oh my goodness, they're turning it around. It looks so good for a moment, and K1 Pro just says, "Nah, not today, nerds."
Oh, big avian impact's even gonna go down too. There's the root. McIntyre comes in, can't trade out. Bone Spear full. 5-man wipe for Team Naventic. K1 Pro with the plays there. Once again, his Jaina is out of control.
If you ever wondered as well, like the value out of that level 1, when you go what? If you notice in that fight, the only reason they were able to withdraw is purely just his slow is so much onto the opponents that they can't move in. So they're actually going for lethal. They're 100% looking to end the game right now, which is pretty safe. I don't think it's good. Yeah, with that keep that low, I don't think there's going to be enough tools to stop it here. But by going through top, they are confirming this is going to be the case. Mosh is still available. That was only a death Mosh. But he has the opportunity to kick him around, so I don't think it's going to matter here. Zul, oh, he's going to Mosh only onto 1, so Zul's fine. There goes the kick. They're moving in. 2 seconds here for the wall to spawn. 93, 90, 80 going on to the core here. Tassadar is going to spawn for a shield. Mages are going to drop here. I don't think it's enough.
iDream the rest.
That's
Zul
it.
goes down, but does not matter. B-Step. One team fight there in the late game. Get the Dragon Knight and push on for the victory in this game, in this series. But man, that was a close series between these two teams.
Yeah, very much it was. And it was well fought from both sides. Especially, I think, BKid in that last game, you know, with that huge death metal being able to pick that up. But recognizing, you know, the situation into the Varian, into the Jaina, especially on top of it. Because typically we see death metal only into the Varian taunt, into Sulfura Smash, and then death metal comes in. But he waited until the ring was used, and then the overcommitment on the other side as well. So it was very well done. But either way, we actually have that replay that we were talking about earlier. Took us a moment to catch on to it here. And it's just... Oh, and this is actually the last team fight here of the game. Watch the slow there. The combo goes out. Beautiful death metal.
But watch K1 Pro 2 here on Zuna. Zuna does get the kill, but as he comes back in too, starting to throw out the damage, lets everyone get back. There's a slow. Gonna march in there. Blizzard hits a lot of the damage on Zuna.
Yeah, and then instantly he's gonna get the turn knowing he still had his Q up. The attempt to move in, but at that point...
And Molten Core 2.
Man, it's hard to, you know, really return after losing Zuna in that position. It's hard to be able to change the outcome of that fight.
That was a crazy team fight, several crazy team fights.
Yeah, it very much was, and the death metal was awesome, and snap picked. It was just not enough. And to be honest, if B-Step hadn't taken that one risk, I can't help but feel like we wouldn't have been like, oh, it would have been like, oh, here's a 3-level lead. Oh my goodness, how do they stop this game? So, I mean, it was a great job from Naventic punishing them when they do make those mistakes. But again, if B-Step takes a little bit more calculation in that play, I feel like it would have been heavily into their favor.
Did you expect this series to go all the way
No.
to 5 games?
I had at best 3-1 in favor of B-Step. In at best in favor of at least, oh my goodness, at best for Naventic would be a 3-1. It would be a 3-0 was my expected going into this. So I'm amazed that it made it this far.
We've talked about whether or not Team Naventic have really hit that point that we've seen a lot of other teams hit in HGC North America, where they finally hit a point where synergy comes online for B-Step. That was versus Freedom was the first time we really started to see that come into play, even though it's wavered back and forth. Is this the case where we've seen it from Naventic, or do you think it's more that the teams have a lot of thought or a lot of understanding into each other's play styles?
I think it was honestly a little bit of just them playing better individually overall. I think for Naventic in the success that they had here, I never once looked at the synergy and thought that it stepped up a level from anything else. It just felt like they were a little bit cleaner on their own in a lot of situations, especially Zuna being on the melee. I think you could see the impact that he was having on certain games. He was just playing and having a positive impact even when things were bad. Granted, at times, obviously taking the risky plays, but overall, I think it just was, they did better by themselves, and at no point was that synergy, that group or whatever, whereas B-Step remains maybe to drop a little bit, as well when it comes to their synergy overall.
Maybe it was the role swap that was the determining factor, but we are ready for our interview with McIntyre. Hey, Mac, how's it going?
That's going well, as you probably can tell, but yeah, feeling pretty good.
All right, so first, congrats on your win. Looking at Battlefield of Eternity, I want to jump right into the draft. You had Karzium early on, and then later on picked Morales. Was this the game plan all along? Was this an adjustment to Naventic's draft? Talk us through that.
We actually weren't ready for Naventic to take the Toronto away from us. I don't think we had that on our radar at all. And the medic was just basically, you can do that shield, I think it's called full guard, 50% reduction, and that kind of counters the Toronto one-shot. We messed up, though, and went Vala instead of Zeratul. So we wanted the Zeratul with the Diablo, and for whatever reason, we locked in Vala. I don't know, that clock sometimes can be the enemy.
Yeah, it very much can. Especially when your opponents are willing to, remove the Toronto, like you said. It's an extreme thing to be able to adjust midway through your drafts. I'm actually going to reference another draft as well onto the Infernal Shrines. Just more, the Chromie play mixed with the composition that the opponents have with having your Medivh. What was your guys' maybe overall morale into that game? Because obviously it was insanely long, but also kind of the draft thought too.
Well, we thought our draft was good, and again, Naventic was a step ahead of us and ended up taking the Sylvanas. And I think we misstepped when we took Monk Chromie. We should have taken Chromie Sylvanas because we wanted the Sylvanas there too. I honestly think we could have won that game. Medivh ended up going cheats at 20 instead of the one shot on the wave. Yeah. And that was a very sad thing because I was spent, I want to say, more than 75% of the game, considering how long it was, one-shotting catapults, and I don't one-shot them as Chromie. So I honestly think the comp wasn't the reason we lost. There were so many punishers that we were, 37-37, and it went to Naventic. It was a tough game, but we fought well, and, at the end of the day, even after that loss, we bounced back on Game 5 and ended up taking the series.
For you guys, we started out, and we've talked to you before about how you feel your development as a team is and coming together. Were you anticipating Naventic to put up as much of a fight as they did in this series? Where do you think that came in from them, and maybe what you guys are looking forward to improving over this next break?
Yeah, so Naventic, as bad as people talk crap about them, I don't think that team is bad by any means. They have incredibly skilled players, and I mean, these are old teammates of mine that we dominated in A while I was on the team. So they have the talent there. It's synergy that's always a problem. And even with our team, I mean, towards the beginning of the season, where were we at? And even now, winning, are we even near the top? So for both of us, I think this mid-season kind of break and then the next season, we have a lot of time to learn and hopefully show up. So I hope that, not only us, but Naventic can find themselves as teams and we can show that we are top teams in NA.
Yeah, I hope so as well. Well, do you have any shout-outs before we let you go?
Shout-outs to my team again and my family. Shout-outs to Twitch chat for, trashing us for 2 weeks. Yeah, I don't know. That's probably about it.
Cool.
And the fans, sorry, the fans, that's right. You guys that are always in our corner, the guys rubbing our back and saying you guys can do it. Thank you guys for the support.
Awesome. Well, congratulations, and we will see you soon.
Thanks. Peace.
Lovers and the haters. Got to shout out to both.
Always. Got to cover all your bases.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a look at the updated standings. Now that B-Step were able to claim a victory over Team Naventic. As we see our top 3 teams who will be going to the Western Clash, Tempo, Team 8, Gale Force Esports, but B-Step moves up now over Superstar, so right behind them, putting themselves in a very nice position. Yeah, they're not going to the Western Clash, but still in a great position of confidence moving into part 2.
Yeah, I think B-Step, being at where they are now compared to where they started, I think is more of like, oh yeah, I can see that. That makes a lot of sense. I think that's a realistic placing, whereas, very early on, it was sitting at the 7-8 range, so it's exciting to be able to see that, but obviously Naventic here seeing the opposite of that tail here.
Yeah, it's a rough place for Naventic for sure, but remember that even before things like the Crucible come into play, all the teams are going to play each other again in part 2, so there's a long way to go before we discover who will be the ones that may have to go through the Crucible. Let's take a look at tomorrow's schedule and see what Heroes of the Storm you can be anticipating for the last day of the HGC NA and EU of part 1. We'll be kicking things off in Europe with Team Dignitas versus B-Genius, and then Synergy versus Team Expert. Expert's last chance to make sure that they have a good positioning in their standings as well. And then Tempo Storm versus Superstars, Team Freedom versus Team 8. Which of those series are you pumped to see, Dread?
Probably Team 8 versus Freedom. I really... Freedom, obviously, with the high praise that I gave them very early on and things not looking that great overall, I'm still looking for them to grow as a new team, overall. I think Team 8 will be a really solid challenge for them because, personally, any team that Glorong is on, it usually does well against mid-tier teams better than probably anybody else, just purely on, again, when they're good at their strategies and it just smashes teams that don't know how to deal with it. And so I think it's a nice, if they don't end up getting too much out of it, at least learning, the play styles of Team 8 and stuff is really healthy as a team. It's much like old school, like Toronto comps, you have to learn how to be able to play against them, otherwise you'll never be able to develop. And I mean, it's actually fitting considering they struggled against B-Steps.
Well, we are done here for the day, but there's going to be more Heroes of the Storm that you can watch. We're going to be hosting the Australia-New Zealand finals, and the winner of that will be representing their region at the Western Clash. It is the last team to find out who goes to the Western Clash, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you tomorrow. Or
in the next.
Fall before the might of the king.
Varian Rin, father, warrior, king. After the desolation of the Second War, Varian returned home with his people and rebuilt the nation of Stormwind. Years later, a plot against the crown would take him away from his homeland. Awakening with no memory, he became the gladiator Logosh, and through many adventures, fought his way back to his kingdom and his son. Varian's ferocity was legendary, and he ultimately gave his life to secure Azeroth's future. Now, in the Nexus, he stands tall as a true hero of the storm. Varian is a versatile melee hero, but even more, he's our first multi-class hero, which means by selecting certain talents, he becomes either an ally-protecting warrior or a furious, well-armed assassin. Varian's trait, Heroic Strike, automatically empowers a basic attack to deal extra damage. Once used, each of his basic attacks lower Heroic Strike's cooldown by a small amount. Varian's first ability, Lion's Fang, unleashes a shockwave that slows and deals damage to enemies along a straight line. His parry ability nullifies incoming basic attacks from enemy heroes. It lasts for a short period and holds up to 2 charges. Like all warriors, Varian is known to charge fearlessly into battle. Upon activation, he rushes towards his enemy, slowing them and dealing damage. Varian has 3 different heroic options reflecting each of the warrior specializations in World of Warcraft. Each heroic has a passive effect and will alter his health, damage, or attack speed when chosen. His first heroic, Taunt, is a versatile